Hey everyone, this is Chris, and welcome to Shed Talk.
Here's some information about
So, my thing, here we go. So, welcome to my shed. It is in my shed where I actually do a lot of my work. It's quiet in here. It gives me a chance to change some scenery, a chance to, just kind of get away without really getting away. So, I do have the amenities that I need in here. I have my soda off to my right, and I have my heater in front of me because it is a little chilly out, and surrounded by tools and yard stuff. So a little getaway. So what we're looking to do with these shed talks is just to have some informal discussion, hopefully to meet some of you and hear what's going on in your lives, and we can talk about coping with life, coping with stressors, anxieties, goals, all that kind of fun stuff. Kind of the stuff that I would do with my clients in my office or online for those sessions, but you know, kind of kicking back in the shed and just kind of chilling out a bit and just talking. So this is my first Facebook Live. So I'm going to assume, which I know it happens when we assume, but I'm going to assume that this is working at the moment. So hopefully that is true. Let's see, allow voting polls. Get you after your video ends. Yeah, sure, why not? I did set up a couple polls, so I just wanted to put this first one up at the moment. Give you a chance to take a look at this, and just to answer as honestly as you can as to are you happy? And I'm not going to define happy at this point. We're just going to ask each of you to let us know. Are you happy? Are you not happy? And if you want to put in some comments or, throw some things down as to why you are or are not, definitely let us know so we can interact and have some fun. The topic that I was looking to cover today was talking about happiness, hence the question, are you happy? And the reason I bring that one up is many people tend to look at their life goal or judge where they are in life based on their level of happiness. So for our purposes at this moment, what I would describe happiness as our level of satisfaction with what we have at the moment. Now, when we say with what we have, that could be our material goods, that could be relationships, that could be, anything. So, it doesn't just have to be, the goods themselves. So, whatever that may be for you, are you happy? Now, the topic that I put into the discussion was, happiness is not a goal that I encourage people to strive toward. And that may seem a little strange. Why would I stay away from, goals, of happiness? That just doesn't seem to make sense. Well, the reason that I would say this is, when we look at happiness as, am I satisfied with what I have right now? That comes and goes. I might, as a child, be satisfied with, a cardboard box, and that fulfills me. And I would say, hey, as a child, I'm quite happy right now. But that changes. I become a teenager or young adult, and that box may not do it for me anymore. So what I mean by happy is going to change. I go into adulthood and happiness changes. I advance through adulthood and the whole notion of happiness changes again. So, when we look at this whole idea of, well, my life's goal is to be happy. So are you saying happy right now? Or are you talking about you would like to always be happy? If you always want to be happy, how are you going to do that if when you are changing all the time and your level of happiness and satisfaction is changing? So, I'm really looking at happiness as this fleeting emotion. It's just something that kind of comes and goes. And if it comes and goes, there's not much that I can do to really control it. So for me, happiness really isn't the life goal that I encourage all of you or encourage my clients to go after. I'd like to welcome people who are joining. So it's good to have all of you joining me in the shed, so to speak. As I mentioned in my promo, this really is my shed. This is not a stage. This isn't made up. This really is my shed. So, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to write them down. But when we look at how happiness becomes this fleeting thing, this is why I don't encourage it as a life goal. So then you might say, well, if we're not encouraging happiness, then what's the point? And that's a good question. I'm not at all saying don't be happy. It's important to be happy. Important event happens and you're going to be happy. A life milestone and you're probably going to be happy. But, when you think about the last time that you had a major milestone in life or the last time that you were the happiest, how long did that last? And if you think back on that moment, can you find that emotion again? And if you can find that emotion again, can you live it to its fullest as you did then? Odds are you can't. I've tried this a lot and I can't. Now, I would, say that most of the time, if I'm going to answer the question I have on the screen, are you happy? Well, I would say most of the time, yeah, I'm generally happy. Am I happy all of the time? Please. Who is happy all of the time? Life happens. We know that life happens. We know that, things go wrong in life and we know that we can walk around and say, will I ever be happy ever again? But one of the things that we can look at, though, is start talking about things such as contentment and inner peace. Because when we look at what is contentment, what is inner peace, that to me becomes life goal. When I talk a lot about inner peace and, people say, well, what is inner peace? How can I achieve this inner peace? Well, we mainly know what happiness is. We know that feeling and that emotion. But can I really sit back and say, I'm peaceful right now? What does that mean? See, for me, as I've been reflecting on this over last few years and working with my clients, I've come to realize that many of us feel stressed and anxious in two specific situations. One, when we feel out of control. So if I'm dealing with something in life that I feel is totally out of my control and there's nothing that I can do about it, I'm going to feel pretty stressed over that because generally speaking, we like to be in control. That's just human nature. So when we're not in control, thank you for the thumbs up, appreciate that. So when we're not in control, then the stress goes up. When we can find ourselves back in what we think is control, then our stress is going to go down. But for me, the other issue with the inner peace is we can feel more of an inner peace when we are in union with ourselves. What do I mean with that? Well, if you think back to what your values are, what is important to you, what is something that you strive for in life, what holds meaning for you, and then look at yourself. Are you acting and thinking in ways that are in union with, in conjunction with those values, those beliefs, what is important to you? And I think when we can become more in tune with what it is that's really important deep down, what do we truly value out of life? And then we begin to live that way. So we start to act in certain ways, we start to think in certain ways that, really unite us with that. That's when we start to feel an inner peace. Because the inner peace then joins all of our person together. Therefore, I'm at peace with myself. I'm in union with myself. When I start doing things that go against who I am, and it doesn't have to be major things, but if I start thinking, let's say, with a lot of frustration or a lot of anger or feeling so out of control, as those anxieties increase and as those thoughts change, I'm not in sync with who I am. And when I'm not in sync with who I am, then I'm going to lose that peace. So for me, that's, really where we look at this whole thing of inner peace. Find out what's truly important in my life and live in accordance with what is important. And those times when we don't feel at peace are probably the times that we're slipping a little bit. And we're all going to do that. So, a lot of it is just, how do I live in the moment where I can find what's bothering me, try to bring it back in line with my beliefs and my values, try to come up with a response or a coping mechanism that would be in line with myself. See, in so doing, we're going to find peace. And that's where I think it becomes very important to have some form of meditation, some form of relaxing. In a sense, find your shed. Part of the reason that I do like to sit out in a shed with my computer and all is, that peacefulness where I'm away from the ordinary. And it's different. Seriously, how many people sit in a shed at night? So, take it for that. But if you can start to find, how do you go to a place, whether it's a physical place or a mental state, that you can kind of get away from what it is that, stresses you. Find that place where you can relax. Find a place where you could have some comfort. When you do that, then you can reflect on what's going on in your own life and then try to bring into alignment all of that stuff that's happening. So now I can see, well, what is it that's bothering me? And now I can bring it into alignment. I can think of a way that I'm going to respond or that I'm going to cope with, and I'm going to bring it into alignment with my beliefs and my values. Because sometimes when we look at life and let's just be a realist a minute, there's some times in life we just have no control over whatever it is that's happening. And it might be bad. It might not be beneficial for us, but honestly, there's nothing I can do about it. In situations like that, you have to get creative and find out, well, what exactly is in my control in this? And it's probably not that situation itself that I'm in control of, and that's fine. But what you would then look at is, well, what can I control? So if I'm living in a situation that honestly, there's not much I can do. Let's say, it's not like you can move or you're stuck in a job and there's really nothing you can do about it at the moment. You don't just then sit there and go, oh, well, this is how life is. No, we do have to look at reality and say, all right, this is how life is, but what is my response now? So, I could look at this then and start saying, well, if I continue to complain about this and there's nothing that I can do about it, I'm not going to be finding my inner peace, because the more that I'm going to be complaining about it, the more out of sync I'm going to be with what's important in my life, and the more stress I'm going to start to feel. Where if I look at the situation in a different view and start saying, well, this is just the way it is, so let's, just kind of move on with life and look for other opportunities or set myself up for other opportunities. The more that I can do that and start to put myself in control of my own feelings, my own thoughts, well, that's going to change almost everything. It's not going to change the situation itself, but it's going to change how I view that situation. Once I change how I view that situation, well, things are going to change. Now, I do want to say I'm saying a lot of this based off of what I'm trying to learn myself. I was on a interview just the other day, and I was talking with the host, and the host had said, something to the effect of, well, it seems like, your life is pretty much in order. How did you do that? And I chuckled for a minute because, the reality is, just because I might be talking this stuff doesn't mean that my life would be perfect either. So if you're sitting over there judging and saying, well, nice for him, but, not working for me. No, because not long ago I was, in the same predicament saying, none of this stuff is going to work. That this is just, pie in the sky stuff. But the reality is, if we try hard every day at refocusing ourselves, if we really make a conscious decision to say, look, I want to live in union with my beliefs and my values, I'm going to eventually feel that peace. And once I begin to feel that peace, I'm not going to want to get rid of it. And when I'm tempted to get rid of it, I'm going to try to do everything in my power. Ooh, the light just popped on. What does that mean? See, never know what happens in the shed. But as I was saying, so when things go well, like more light, when things go well, see, I feel more at inner peace, and I'm going to want to keep it. And to me, that's part of that secret. It's a secret that's really not a secret. It's something that we all can learn. And what I want to say is that there's nothing special about me. It's just that I've taken some time and some steps into trying to make this work. And now I want to share that message with you. And that's basically what I had said to, the interviewer the other day, that, it's just something that I want to share. It's just something that has worked for me and seems to work for other people. So if we can get the message out, then maybe it's going to work for more people. And I do believe in the domino effect. One person affects another, affects another, affects another. And when you think about it, if you're constantly around negative people, you yourself are going to start thinking and feeling negatively. Same is true on the opposite. If you're hanging around a lot of positive people, that's going to start to rub off. It might be annoying at first, but it's going to start to rub off. So it really is about perspective. It really is about how I'm feeling with myself, and that's going to help influence how I feel about the world around me. There's a quote, and I use this quote often. It's from the Talmud that says, we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. So we don't see things as they are, we see things as we are. In other words, the way that I believe and view myself is going to influence the way that I see the world around me, other people, situations, and the like. So if I really don't like myself, if I'm really having issues with who I am, if there's just things going on in me that just seems very negative, I am not at all going to look outside and say, oh, look at that wonderful sun, or look at that beautiful sunset. No, that's not how I'm going to view it, because I don't like myself. Why am I going to like any of that stuff? A true story, when I was in college, and I say this to my students all the time, there was this professor that every morning, didn't matter, every morning, if you walked up to him and said, good morning, he would look at you with the sternest look and say, don't tell me what kind of morning to have. Yep. Don't tell me what kind of morning to have. He was not a happy man. He wouldn't let anybody sit with him during meals. If you forced your way to sit there, he would ignore you. This is just how he felt on the inside. Now, he had his reasons. I understand those. But other people were in his situation as well and have come out of that situation different. They have come out on a positive end. So, you could look at this and say, well, he's got a reason for this. All right, I agree. He's got a reason to be upset. But even if we have a reason, we still have the choice. Do I want to live that way? Now, if you do, that's fine. I mean, go enjoy yourself. Well, I guess if you want to live miserably, you're not enjoying yourself. But go ahead, live the way that you want to live. But don't complain about your situation, the way that you're living, if this is something that you are choosing to do. Again, you can't choose your circumstance necessarily, but you can choose the way that you view that circumstance. And for me, this is why I don't really promote people saying, well, my life's goal is to be happy. No. Because this happiness comes and goes. This happiness is too dependent upon feelings, too dependent upon things, too dependent upon situations. But you see, if we start to promote living in conjunction with who you are, if we start to promote and look at a life goal being that I want to find inner peace, you see, that doesn't really matter how you look at it. What that is just saying is, well, if life is bad right now, I can still have peace within myself. I could feel miserable. I could feel sad. I could feel angry. I could feel out of control. I could feel any of those things. But I could still have peace within myself, because regardless of what I'm feeling, well, I'm still in line with who I am. So that's kind of the message I was thinking of today. Um, if there's comments, I appreciate everybody who's joined. Um, if you have comments, questions, feel free. Um, I believe I can post this up later. So if you want to spread the word, if you liked this, spread the word and let other people know, because I'll throw it up on the Facebook page. Assuming that I can do that. I think I can. Like I said, I've never done this one before, so I'm going to have to play around with it a little bit. Thank you about the great topic. Appreciate that. So if people do like the concept of the Shed Talk, I'd be willing to do this weekly or more often than that. Again, just throw me a line, let me know, if this is something that you would be interested in for me to continue, spread the word about it, and any topics you would like me to cover, just let me know. And, maybe down the road we'll bring on some guests joining me either on the Facebook or in the shed or whatever. So, all right, I appreciate your time, and I'm going to see what I can now do with this video now that I'm done with it, and look forward to any of your comments. Spread the word, and I hope that you have a very peace-filled and mindful day.